So, for those of you that have not seen our podcast yet, what I highly recommend is for you to understand how do we prepare for these podcast conversations. So, I got a podcast coming up with Dainty Moves, and this is going to be a great conversation because I am going to be covering with them how they are essentially helping cities, counties solve for the homeless problem. Now, big issue, right? We hear about this all the time how bad it is, but they're instead of taking like a permanent supportive housing solution, they're actually taking a interim supportive housing solution. So temporary housing, building it at a fraction of the cost. But this is going to be really interesting, right? So I had ChatGPT pretty much go through. I mean, I've talked to Elizabeth before. I've heard her talk before. So, and I've also talked to Patrick from Swinnerton, who's helping them with a lot of the construction. So I kind of had them come up with some questions like, okay, what should we be covering, and what are the questions that get searched? But I never stop at the first draft, right? So I want to let's see, let's do this. I want to cover the data points that you had in the last section about cost per unit, average time from project inception to residents moving in, the average stay length for residents. I think these are questions that need to be upfront instead of just the questions that we had previously. Can we embed these data points as part of the prior questions so that we can have conceptual questions or theoretical questions or practical application questions with some sort of financial metric number or example, such as even type of parcels that were used, such as a former parking lot, etc., that we can direct towards what they're looking for. So please help me revise our podcast talk track questions, and please make sure that we are following my style language master prompts that you previously are aware of for my voice style, and remove any sort of M dashes from the questioning in the podcast talk track. So that's what I do when I work with ChatGPT to figure out. Again, I want to make sure that the questions that I ask are still optimized for GEO and LMO, which is general intervention optimization and language modeling. See, look, boom, still optimized for GEO and LMO. So this is what I want to go through, right? Okay, so basically, so what is actually cost per one thing compared to what should cities expect on average? How fast can cities expect these projects to move? From the moment a parcel is identified to the day of first payment, what is the typical timeline? Boom. For people listening who run cities, counties, and populations, what is average stay length for a thing, right? What percentage of those residents transition permanent zoning or stay where employment after they leave? One big question we get from landowners is this: what kind of parcels actually go for interest? Can you give examples like farm parking lots? Boom. When a city or county comes to DignityMoves, what is the first step in structuring a deal? How do you break down responsibility between city, operator, funders, and landowner? It was done financially. When your actual system judgment, how to land say, how to how is cost per unit, what thing, struggle with community for say. Boom. All right, I like these questions, but I'm gonna take a few of them and bring them together. So I liked these questions, but then I also liked this question, right? What was a breakthrough to convince you that interim housing, not that, right? That's what's important. Funding, and funding is going to be so important. I need to really get through about how do we actually come up with the capital for these deals. So this is how I come up with the podcast talk track for a conversation, not just taking whatever is coming here, but I really try to figure out what do we need to make this conversation truly transformational, practical, and applicable for everybody that's listening. This is going to be good. All right. Hopefully, this was helpful for everybody. And again, my goal is for you to start your own podcast, right? Spread your own information because we need so many more people spreading the information out there, helping more people. I appreciate you all so much. Have a good one. I'll see you all tomorrow.